Hello, this is Allie with the Perception Trainers, and today we are going to talk about the importance of developing a morning routine. Okay, so literally, if you watch no other video on my channel, I hope that you watch this one, because this idea of having a set routine that you do in the morning is going to change your life, all right? So before we get into what I think you should do in your morning routine, the reason that this is such a big deal is because literally you have the capacity to tune your frequency to whatever kind of experiences in life you want to have. Now, remembering that we are all conscious co-creators here on the planet, and so we are here to learn from what life presents to us, right? And part of that learning is realizing that life is reflecting back to us not necessarily what is ultimately true, all right, in our current perception, but what we believe to be true about ourselves and about our world, all right? So you can liken this kind of like to listening to the radio, right? When we are listening to the radio, we are tuned to a specific frequency, and that frequency will play a specific type of music, right? So most radio stations have a specific type of music that they play, either that or they have specific types of music that they play at specific times of the day, right? So if you're listening to the country music station, you're going to hear country music. If you're listening to the rock and roll station, you're going to hear rock and roll. If you're listening to elevator music, you're going to hear elevator music. And now the thing is that each one of those channels represents the kind of vast array of songs that can be experienced within that single genre, right? Now, if you were to say, I always listen to the country music station, and so therefore country music is the only music that exists because it's the only music that ever plays on this station, right? You would be mistaken. If you only ever listen to one station on the radio, and you assumed that because this station only plays country music, that country music is all that exists, right? You would be incorrect. And then if someone came along and was like, yeah, well, what about rock and roll? You'd be like, what are you talking about? Rock and roll isn't a thing. I've never heard rock and roll before. That's not possible, right? And this is kind of how we live our lives, right? And then the other thing, the other kind of metaphor for the human psychology that we live in right now is that we are listening to the country music station. We know that rock and roll exists, and maybe we want to listen to rock and roll. We wish we could listen to rock and roll, and we just keep hoping that if we stay on this channel long enough, that eventually the rock and roll music will start to play on the country channel, right? We really think that at some point, if we just wish hard enough or think hard enough or believe hard enough that rock and roll music exists, and I've heard other people say that they've listened to rock and roll music. Maybe I've never heard it before myself, but I know that it exists. I know that people have it. I know that people have heard it. I just hope that it's going to infiltrate my country music station, right? That's silly. That's not going to happen. In order to get to the to the rock and roll station, you have to change the frequency. You have to change the dial. You have to change the frequency first, and then you can receive new information, all right? So that being our metaphor, this is very much how life works, all right? It is your frequency, your emotional state, your point of focus, your kind of, right, all of the things that make up what your vibration is, that tune you to specific experiences that you are going to have in your life. All right? So understand that. You are like the radio antenna. You are tuned to a specific frequency, and you are picking up all the information that's coming through on that specific frequency. And that is what is determining your perception of your experiences. Okay, so this does get a little bit complicated because there is absolutely something to be said for ultimate reality is existing, right? The ultimate truth with no filter on top of it is what is, right? And then we build our little false assumptions and all of our filters and all of our personal experiences and all of these things on top of reality. And that is what determines our experience of the world, right? So there are going to be things that happen, things that just occur, and then due to our frequency, right, we then perceive and filter our experiences through that filter, right? So we are not experiencing something as it actually is. We are experiencing it through our specific filter, our specific frequency. And then at the same time, due to that specific frequency and the perspective that we currently have, we make choices to experience specific things within that paradigm, right? So people who genuinely believe that the world is a negative, scary place, right? Obviously, when things happen, right, they're going to perceive the world through this "the world is a scary, negative place" filter, right? So when things happen, they're going to look for meaning that supports their worldview. So they're going to watch the news and they're going to see people shooting each other and they're going to see people going to war and they're going to see genocide and they're going to be like, see, that's what it is. And then due to that, they're going to make specific choices in their life that dictate and determine their experience. So they're only going to hang out with other people who believe stuff like that. So then they might never travel. They might never go on an airplane. They might never learn about other cultures. They may make their world very small and hunker down and do all of these things, right? So you see that life is happening. It's being filtered through your filter, and that is determining your experience of the reality and determining the choices that you are going to make to continue on having that reality, right? So this is how we create what's happening to us, right? We create it through our filters. So there is ultimate reality that is happening that has nothing to do with what you say or do, right? So like the sun is going to come up, or the earth is going to rotate whether you believe it or not. And you don't have control over that. You see what I'm saying? That's an ultimate fact of reality. Currently, where we are on the earth, having the experience that we're having, right? This is one of the facts. And then at the same time, what you believe about that is going to determine the kinds of choices that you make about what you do with your day. You see what I'm saying? Some people are going to say the sun is very bright today and I'm afraid of skin cancer, so I'm going to, cover up and use an umbrella and not go outside. If I do go outside, I'm going to protect myself. Other people will be like, yeah, beach day, right? And so these two people are having two different experiences of the reality of life that just the sun is out today. You see what I'm saying? So with all of that information, right, if you want to change the experience that you're having of your life, which most people do, if you're struggling, if you're suffering, if you're in trauma drama, if you have painful, self-destructive behaviors, if you hate your job, if you don't have purpose in life, if you don't feel like you know what you're supposed to be doing here, if you're feeling confused, if you're feeling lost, if you're having an existential crisis, if you're going through all of these things, this is actually a good sign, okay? This is a sign of awakening. When you are totally dissatisfied with your life and with your experience and the frequency that you've been on, right? The station you've been listening to for maybe your entire life, that's your emotional guidance system saying it's time to evolve. It's time to change. It's time to tune the frequency to something different, right? And this is where developing a morning routine comes in so strong, all right? Because it is very easy, right? So understanding, it is super easy to believe that the reality that we are seeing and the reality we are perceiving and the choices that we're making, right, are perfectly logical. They are the facts. This is how it is, and I feel how I feel because of my reality, right? I feel shitty about myself because I'm overweight and I don't have money and I don't have a girlfriend and I hate my job and I don't have a purpose and I don't know what I'm doing. I feel bad because I don't have enough money. I feel bad because my kids are doing this or that, right? It's very easy for us to look at our circumstances and say, I am feeling the way that I'm feeling because of what's happening, right? But if we understand the radio metaphor is exactly how life works for us, it is not because country music is playing that we are tuned to that frequency. Country music is playing because, country music is playing. We are hearing it because we are on that frequency. But we do not have to stay on that frequency. You see what I'm saying here? The It is not that country music is all that exists and we don't have a choice and we have to wait until a new type of music starts playing on this channel. If we want something different, you have to change the frequency first. So it is the same with you. If you want something different in your life, you must first change your frequency. You must first change your feelings, change your mental projections, change your thought patterns, change your specific vibration, right? And then you will be a match to new experiences. And again, this is not esoteric bullshit. This is just pretty easy to understand. If you are someone who is locked down in fear and believing the world is against you and everything is horrible, right? You are not going to be able to perceive someone loving you. You are not going to be able to perceive someone giving you a good opportunity. You are not going to be able to perceive an expansive universe because your filter is going to block all that stuff out, right? If you, it's kind of like the same thing. It's like if you're traveling in a foreign country and you speak English and you're in a foreign country where everyone speaks Chinese, you're pretty much going to filter out everything that everyone is saying as they walk by you on the street because you don't understand what they're saying, right? You have no context for what they're saying. You have no understanding of their language, and so you just filter it out. Your brain is not going to sit there trying to process all the Chinese that you're hearing because it's basically just going to say that's just white noise, right? And it's the same thing when we want a new experience. If we want a new experience, we have to tune our frequency to a new station. We cannot keep staying on the same station, on the same country music station, expecting to hear rock and roll at some point. It's not going to happen. You have to change your frequency to rock and roll before you will hear rock and roll. So, no longer are you going to have the naivety to say that I am feeling how I'm feeling because of my experiences, because of my reality. No. My reality is to me what I perceive it to be because of how I feel, because of what I think, because of what I believe. And the universe is reflecting that back to me through my experiences and through the choices that I'm making. So now, this is why it is so difficult to change your reality, okay? Because you need to get yourself to feel, think, and believe something different than what you feel, think, and believe right now based on nothing in order to shift your state. You see what I'm saying here? You can't look out at the experiences that you're having unless the experiences that you're having are awesome and lovely and you love them and you want them and you want to keep how you're going on. Do that, right? But if you want something different, you can't look at what's happening and base your feelings on that. You can't look at what's happening and base your beliefs on that. You can't look at what's happening and base your model of reality on that. Because that is a projection. That is a reflection. That is not the truth. So ultimately, of course, we want to go to truth, right? We want to get rid of all beliefs. We don't want to have a filter, right? I mean, we're always going to have a bit of a filter, as in you are an individual person who has an individual perspective that is different from everybody else's, of course. But ultimately, we want to get to this place where we are seeing reality for what it is. And some people are so lost in this that they don't even believe that that's a thing, and I understand that. People truly believe that truth doesn't exist and that everything is relative, and that's, I understand, okay? But we're not operating under that paradigm. Truth exists, there is a reality, right? And we can get there, even with our personality. That's what this awakening experience is, right? But it's gonna begin with you upgrading your current experience, right? The initial path of awakening starts with changing your reality so it's less trauma drama, making more space, making more peace, making more happiness, making more enjoyment, having these revelations of how our filters work through experimenting with it like this, all right? And this is where our morning routine comes in. Because when you first wake up in the morning, you have the most control over how you're gonna feel and what you're gonna think, all right? In that time between 4 a.m. and 7 a.m., like that's kind of like the magical time, but if you can't get up that early, I understand, you don't have to. But if you're looking to change your reality, this is the time when you first wake up in the morning to start to implement the new stuff, okay? So what do I mean by the new stuff? This is where you sit and you visualize having what you want, okay? The money, the car, the job, the purpose, the body, the relationship, whatever it is that you think that you need to feel how you want to feel, okay? You visualize having that thing. And then you tune in to how you think you're going to feel when you have that thing that you desire. And that is what you focus on, okay? You are going to notice that when you focus on feeling the thing that you want to have, you feel different than how you usually feel in your everyday life, okay? And I want you to notice that feeling state, all right? Because this is the key here. This is you saying, okay, I want to be on frequency 98.5. I'm sick of being on frequency 88.2. That's what this is, all right? The thing that you want in your mind is simply the projection that you think has to happen in order for you to feel how you want to feel. Because you do not understand yet that it's the feeling that comes first and then the experiences that follow. So we can use our physical reality to help us with this lesson by saying, okay, if I can't just sit here and say, okay, how do I want to feel, right? That's hard for some people. But if you sit there and say, well, I wish I had $1 million, I say, okay, fine. Imagine you had $1 million. How would that make you feel? What would you be thinking? What would you be feeling? What would the experience in your body be like? What would your day look like? Go through this visualization, right? And feel the feeling of having $1 million, right? And then start to understand that what you really want is that feeling. So it's not necessarily the money that you need to have that feeling, right? But you can use the visualization in the beginning to help you tune into that feeling. Then, after that, have some reflection time. So I want you to visualize having what you want, feeling the feeling, and then have some reflection time, journaling, meditating, whatever you want to do, that where you start to look at all the feelings and all the thoughts and all the beliefs and all the patterns and everything that arises when you think of this awesome thing that contradict that, okay? Because those are your negative foundational beliefs. Those are your imprinted feeling states. And you need to look at that stuff, right? And say, okay, where's the trauma in here? Where's the parts of me that need love? Where are the parts of me that are wounded and so sad and so rejected and so, been shoved into the shadow by me for so long, where I've been treating myself like shit, really, for all this time, that's blocking me from having this ecstatic experience. Because that's what this is. When you can imagine feeling amazing, right? Because you have this thing that you want and you can feel that feeling, that's natural to you. You see, nothing changed. When you were in your meditation, visualizing having $1 million, you didn't actually have $1 million, right? But you felt like you did. And this is the thing. These feelings that you want to feel are natural to you. These ecstatic experiences in life are natural to you. It is you with less of a filter, right? It's you with less fear and more love. And the thing that's blocking you from living in that reality all the time is your self-rejection. Bottom line, plain and simple, over and over again, this is all it is, okay? You have rejected aspects of yourself. You're not even rejecting reality. You're not even rejecting the moment. You're not afraid of what is. It's none of that stuff. You're afraid of who you are. So then you spend some time loving the parts of yourself that suck you back into that depression, that suck you back into that I can't have what I want, that tell you all these scary, mean, bad stories. You use the Ultimate Self-Love Meditation that I have on this channel, and I'll link down below. That is what you do. And then the third thing I want you to do is do some movement. Move your body, okay? Even start with movement. Move your body, visualize having what you want and feeling that feeling, and then loving that aspect of you that says you can't have that, right? These are the 3 things I want you to do in your morning routine. And this is going to set you up, okay? For the rest of your day, you will be either able to feel how you want to feel, right? You can tune into that any time of the day you want, all throughout the rest of your day. And when you don't feel like that, you are loving the part of yourself that doesn't feel like that. And that's your morning routine. And that will shift your life, and that will awaken you, and that's all you need to do. It can take you 20 minutes, and it will change your life. All right? So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave those down below. I love hearing from you. Like, subscribe, share, do all that fun stuff. Find us on Patreon. We meet 3 times a month, and it is really awesome and really fun. And leave me video requests, anything that you guys want. I'm here for you. And other than that, you're awesome. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll see you later.